Will Sam Carpenter die in the opening scene of Scream 6, or Scream 2, or whatever the heck they're gonna call this thing? Let's get into it.
What's your favorite scary movie? Amen.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Well, I'm Pennywise the dancing now.
Oh, Lord on the beast!
God, don't do that.
But sometimes, death is better.
Hey everybody, what's up? KillJoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. Today, I want to talk a little bit about Sam Carpenter, our lead character, our lead actress, dying in the opening scene of Scream 6. Now, before I get into that, I'm going to need y'all to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Updates on Scream 6, Halloween Ends, Jordan Peele's Nope, and a plethora of other horror films that I will be covering on here. The most popular, the least popular, whatever I'm interested in. Get wrecked. Okay, so getting into this. I've had an overwhelming amount of comments recently talking about how Sam Carpenter could be the opening kill of the next movie. Now, with this plot description we just got, that not 100% reliable, it may or may not be true. I do want to point this out, though. When Scream 5 was in production, we first got the plot description from IMDb. Now, typically, IMDb is not a good place for reliable information on big movies, which is really surprising, I know, but it's actually really not. It's not a reliable source whatsoever. There's a lot of fake stuff on there. If you don't believe me, go and check out the IMDb trivia on literally any movie. It's like very obviously wrong. It's like the most wrong thing you've ever seen. You're like, what? Like, how is this allowed? This is crazy. But yeah, IMDb is not a reliable source. But in the plot description that we got for Scream 6, it said that a character that survived a past Ghostface killing is going to die in the opening scene, essentially. Now, you can take that as, oh, well, maybe Kirby's coming back and she dies. But honestly, I'm thinking that Radio Silence is going to continue the story with one of the characters that survived the last film. There was a lot of them, too. Now, if you exclude the legacy characters, we had 4 characters survive at the end of Scream 5. That's more than we've had in a very long time, if you don't count the legacy characters, of course. So, honestly, that's kind of a shock to me, and I even said going into Scream 6, they're gonna have to kill one of them off if they want to make the mystery work this time around. Because realistically, I don't think any of them are going to become Ghostface. Honestly, I just don't see that happening in like a year span. Like, there's probably gonna be like a year in between this film and the events of the last one. I don't see any of them going bad all of a sudden, just for some crazy reason. None of those characters seem like the kind of character to do that. So I think one of them has to die in the opening scene, and a lot of people want it to be Sam Carpenter. I genuinely don't think this is going to happen, but I do think that the reason for this is because a lot of people did not like Melissa Barrera's performance in the last film. Once again, not something I agree with, just something I want to comment on. I think the reason she had to act the way she did was because she's not playing your typical final girl. She's not playing a very typical character. She's playing the descendant of Billy Loomis and was trying to emulate the wooden performance of Skeet Ulrich in that original film. A lot of people are criticizing Melissa Barrera for being wooden in this film, but go back and watch the original. Billy Loomis is very wooden. And it's done purposefully because he's not someone who's empathetic. He's not someone who really shows emotion. He's a sociopath. And I think Melissa Barrera's character is kind of that right now. Think about her character. Think about everything we know about her. She left her family to go basically put whatever drug she wanted in her body because she was dealing with like a mental illness, dealing with like the fact that she just found out that her real father is a serial killer. That's messed up. I mean, that's messed up. That would throw me into something crazy like that. It's totally understandable, and it's upsetting. It's a tragic story, but in a way, you can see that as sociopathic. I mean, she left her family, she left her sister, and she gets that massive realization in that hospital scene in Scream 5. And she even says at the end of the film, like, that you feel like there's this like dynamic character thing that she's going through. But when she says to Tara, she's like, listen, no matter where you go, I will be there. And it's awesome. It's great character development. I think it's written very well, and I'm very excited to see how Melissa Barrera portrays the character in the next film. I don't want to see her go in the opening scene. I think a lot of people want to see her die in the opening scene because they didn't like her performance in the last one, but it was done purposefully. And we're not going to see the same Carpenter. We're not going to see the same Carpenter. We're not going to see the same Sam Carpenter. Same and Sam. Those are tough words to put next to each other. We're not going to see the same Sam Carpenter in this next film. We're not. We're going to see a much more developed character. One that has gone through the experiences of 5 and came out a different person, I think. It's not going to be the wooden performance we got in the last one. That was done purposefully. But now we're going to see a Sam Carpenter that is really trying to be more empathetic and really trying to be more protective of her sister. And honestly, I think it'll lead to some very seriously interesting character dynamics between her and Tara in the next film. I'm telling you, she will give... I don't think she gave a bad performance in the last one. Not saying that at all, but she will definitely give a more interesting performance in Scream 6 for sure. That's why I don't want her to die in the opening. I want to see that relationship develop a little more between her and Tara. That's one of the biggest things character-wise I want to see in this next film, which is why I'm really starting to think that Chad is going to be the opening kill, if they do end up killing one of these characters from Scream 5. I don't think if they bring back Kirby, they're not going to kill her in the opening scene. I really don't think so. Hayden Panettiere probably will not be in this film, though. I want to point that out. I guess she is, like, whoever she's married to is, like, their cousin is someone, like, a bigger, higher up in Ukraine right now. And if you know anything about global politics, you know the situation over there is not fantastic right now. I stand with Ukraine, by the way, not to get too political, but of course I do. Come on. Okay, we're not going to get into that. But talking about Scream, continuing this conversation, I don't think they're going to bring back a legacy character like Joel, Kirby, the sorority sisters from Scream 2, just to kill them in the opening scene. That would just be such a waste. If they're going to come back, I would want them to come back in the way that Martha Meeks came back in the newest film. Just having a little cameo appearance and having a little funny joke. It was great. Her scene was awesome. I loved the entire scene at the Meeks household. Was very fun, very funny, and led to some really interesting character developments. But I genuinely think that they're not going to kill Sam Carpenter in the opening scene. There's a lot they want to do with their character. There's a lot of things they set up with her character to be developed in the next film. For example, like, just because she's Billy Loomis's daughter, I don't think that means she's going to go bad at some point. She does have those killer instincts, which we saw in the last film. But I think what they're leading us towards is this back and forth, this angel and devil on her shoulders that she's going to have to listen to one eventually. And you're going to see that constant, like, inner conflict in Sam that's going to be really interesting to develop, and to see if she chooses to protect her sister or to go full on crazy psycho. I once again, I think it's one of those things that they're going to tease in our faces. Like, they're gonna make it seem like, oh, Sam at any moment could break and start going psycho killer. But ultimately, I don't think she's going to do that. Scream is probably not the franchise that could happen. I feel like this is always going to be a franchise with a happy ending in some capacity, bittersweet ending at the worst. But what do you guys think? I want to hear what everyone has to say about Melissa Barrera in Scream 5. And do you think she'll be the opening kill in 6? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching this new Scream 6 update. Scream Forever After, whatever they're gonna call it. Hopefully we get that news update sometime soon. You'll be able to find it here first, of course. Don't forget to support this page on Patreon as well. That really helps this channel grow. The link for that will be in the description below. And as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.